They say money can't buy class, but let me tell you, I'd never truly seen that in action until I watched a bride with all the advantages in the world implode in front of 400 guests. I mean, we all love a little drama, right? But what happened that day, it was the kind of train wreck you can't look away from, especially when the person getting humiliated is completely convinced they're on top of the world. The kicker? The woman she tried to crush me turned out to have a lot more power than she ever imagined. My name's Miriam, and yeah, this is my story. Let me back up a sec. I've been a wedding planner for 8 years. And if you'd asked me before that spring Saturday if I'd seen it all, I would have said yes without blinking. Bridezillas, family feuds, weather emergencies, I've handled it. Or at least, I thought I had, until I met Caroline Whitmore. Her family's got the kind of money that goes back generations of kind, where people talk about old money like it's a religion. From the first time she called me, barking orders instead of introducing herself, I knew it would be a rough ride. I mean, she never once said please or thank you, just Miriam, fix this, Miriam, do that, like she was auditioning for the world's most entitled boss. The Whitmore estate was like something out of a movie: rolling lawns, a lake, a chapel, enough space for a small army. Caroline wanted the whole package: white roses from Ecuador, a string quartet from Vienna, a Michelin-starred chef, the works. Every guest was a who's who: senators, celebrities, CEOs. For 6 months, my whole life was that wedding. And with someone like Caroline, nothing was ever good enough. The roses weren't white enough. The music wasn't classy enough. Even the linens caused a meltdown. I remember her screaming at me over the shade of ivory, like I'd just ruined the entire event. I spent that day pulling every string I had to get replacements, not that she cared. If anything, the more I solved, the more she found to pick at. My friends kept telling me to bail. But I don't quit, especially not when I put my name on something. Plus, there's something almost magical about seeing a couple's dream become reality, even if one of them acts like you're just the help. So I pushed through. The morning of the wedding, everything was perfect: clear skies, gardens glowing, everyone on my team hustling like a well-oiled machine. For a brief moment, I let myself hope we'd made it. Then, about 2 hours before the ceremony, Caroline storms out of the bridal suite, hair half done, robe flying behind her, and I could feel the tension in my gut before she even opened her mouth. "Miriam, get over here now." Her voice echoed across the gardens. The issue? The photographer didn't like the light by the lake for sunset photos. Mind you, we'd already agreed on everything with the photographer months ago, but that didn't matter. In front of the staff, the early guests, and anyone within earshot, she tore into calling me incompetent, questioning why I thought I could handle people who matter. You know what I mean? That phrase, it stung. Like all my years of hard work meant nothing, because I wasn't born into her world. By now, people were openly watching more, pretending to admire flowers or check their phones. Some were actually enjoying the spectacle, which, looking back, says a lot about that crowd. Caroline wasn't finished, though. She looked me up and down and said, maybe I should have hired someone who actually knows what they're doing, not some small-town nobody. That was the moment I felt the urge to just walk out. Right there, reputation be damned. But instead, I tried to defuse the situation, apologizing, offering to fix things, anything to keep the day from going completely off the rails. But she just got nastier, dropping her voice to a hiss. "You don't belong in this world, Miriam. I should have known better." That was her final shot. And there I was, blinking back tears in front of hundreds of people, wishing I could disappear, or at least shrink down to nothing and roll out with the catering carts. Then twist, coming out of nowhere, a convoy of black cars pulls up. Security steps out, and for a split second, I think maybe it's some last-minute political bigwig. But then I see my husband, Jonathan, step out, looking more furious than I've ever seen him. Yeah, I know, surprise. I hadn't mentioned him for a reason. We'd agreed to keep our marriage private, partly so I could keep building my business without anyone making assumptions about how I got here. Jonathan's the kind of wealthy that moves industries, not just markets. We got married quietly 2 years ago, and I used my maiden name at work. That's how I liked it. But in that moment, as he crossed the lawn toward me, I realized everything was about to change. The entire crowd froze, even Caroline, whose face did a full emotional cycle: confusion, horror, and then pure panic as she put it together. She tried to play it cool, greeting Jonathan like a visiting monarch, but he didn't give her the time of day. He walked straight to me, took my hand, and asked if I was all right, his voice gentle in a way that just about undid me. Only then did he turn to Caroline. The temperature dropped about 10 degrees. "I was just in the area, thought I'd check on my wife's work," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. The word wife hit the crowd like a lightning strike. There were actual gasps, champagne glasses clinking to the floor. Caroline's jaw hit the grass. She stammered, "Your wife?" Jonathan nodded, his arm around me now. "Yes, Miriam is my wife. And from what I just saw, it seems you have some very strong opinions about her qualifications." I've never heard silence like that in my life. 400 people, all at once, realizing Caroline had just spent the last 20 minutes screaming at the wife of a man who could buy her family's estate twice over. You could see her recalculating her entire life in real time. She started apologizing, begging, "Really? Please, I didn't know, I was just stressed." But Jonathan cut her off, as calm as ever. "It's not about what you know. It's about how you treat people when you think you don't have to be nice. That's how I do business. That's how I judge character." Then, to the whole crowd, he explained exactly what I'd done to make this day possible, all the hours and problems I'd solved while being treated like I didn't matter. Finally, he turned back to me. "Pack your things, sweetheart. We're leaving. You've done more than enough." For a split second, I hesitated. This was my project, my responsibility, but he squeezed my hand and said, "You don't need to stay here and be treated like this." As we walked toward his car, the crowd exploded into hushed, frantic conversation. Some people were actually clapping, others looked stunned, and I'll bet half of them couldn't wait to text the story to their friends. Caroline shouted after us, voice cracking, "Please, I'm sorry. I need you here. I can't do this without you." Jonathan turned back just long enough to say, "You don't need her here. You needed her to want to be here, and you made sure that will never happen." The wedding went on. I heard it was flawless, at least on the surface. Caroline got her perfect day, but she didn't get me or any piece of my pride. That's what the universe does. Sometimes it shows people who they really are and makes sure everyone else sees it too. I still plan weddings. I still deal with tough clients. But now, I'm a lot more careful about who I let into my calendar and who I'll let talk to me like I'm disposable. Because at the end of the day, we're all just people. Money, titles, last names theory, just window dressing. What matters is how you treat the ones you think you don't need. So what do you think? Was walking away the right move? Is it ever okay to publicly call someone out? Or should you always take the high road? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you ever wonder what really goes on behind the scenes at those picture-perfect weddings, stick around. Trust me, I've got stories. Remember, kindness doesn't cost a thing, but the lack of it? That's a price you'll never see coming.